Hey everyone, this is Tamara and welcome to Book Chat Live. Thanks for watching. Today I am chatting with Sylvia Hubbard, the author of adult romance suspense title Tanner's Devil. She's one of the 40 plus authors that will be in attendance at Rust City BookCon. Well, that will be taking place here in Metro Detroit in just 2 short weeks. Tickets are still available, so feel free to jump on over to Rust City BookCon and get your ticket now. Without further ado, hello, Sylvia. Welcome. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. How are you?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. It's
Hey.
great to be here.
Oh,
Honored.
fabulous. How are you today? It's a little hot, huh?
It's hot and muggy, and yeah, it's weird. But they say in Michigan, if you want the weather to change, just wait 5 minutes. So
I know, and that probably will happen because I feel like yesterday it was like rainy, but it was kind of cool. It was in the like low 80s, and so you're right. So it's going to change again.
right,
Well, let's
definitely.
just jump right on in if you're up for that.
Um, yes,
You ready for
definitely.
the questions?
Yeah. Ready.
Okay, well, let's start with what you're reading. Go ahead and share with us what's on your reading list right now.
On my reading list, actually, I've been upping my social media game and reading. I'm reading. What is it? Social Media Online by LaShonda Huffman,
Mm-hmm.
and a great book where she gives you like step by step details on how to be on the internet and everything. And I started doing this because I had a fire 2 years ago, and I kind of like just got out of the literary game. I took kind of like a mental vacation, so it was like getting back online, getting used to things. And since I'd been on since like 2000, the things that I did before to get the success I had,
Mm-hmm.
I needed to revamp it or just stop doing it. We don't do web rings anymore. Remember web rings?
I barely remember web rings.
Like I say, I had notes everywhere. And I was like, okay, we don't do this. We don't do this. Like the Yahoo groups, we don't do those anymore. So it was like getting back on the horse, but it was a new horse. It was still a horse, but
Mm-hmm.
trying to like get back into it. So relearning the whole thing and building my social media and my fan base again. It's been a wonderful experience. The old people come back and then learning how to keep them again. So I love that she gives charts and calendars and checklists. So it's quite a learning experience for me, but it's fun. It's actually
Okay.
fun this time than it was last time.
Oh, that's good. So I guess she's giving you tips on how to keep people engaged and leaning
Right.
in, right?
Right. And it's kind of like going to school again. Like I know this stuff, but it's like, oh, you forgot it. The stuff you tell, oh, I'm gonna remember it, and you don't remember it. So I like that this stuff is coming back, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I can almost gallop now.
All right. Yes. You might have to tell me some of those tips because I might need some help. Yes.
Slowly but surely again. And it's kind of fun because then I can start teaching again and incorporating what I did know and what I'm learning now. So that's
Okay.
cool.
Fabulous. Okay. So tell me a little bit about maybe what authors or books may have influenced your writing style. We all have our own style, but we all have our favorites too, right?
Yes, and the influencers of my life were like Jane Austen, Johanna Lindsay. I started big as like a historical romance reader because like I stole a book when I was like 12 from the library. I know. I did return it later on. They didn't know why I dropped it off at the counter, but and then on top of that I had like Stephen King as well, so kind of like that morbid romance historical kind of influenced my life. And then when I was 17 years old, I skipped school and I met Beverly Jenkins.
Oh,
And
wow. She's great.
yeah, it was like the first time I had ever seen a person like me in romance. And
Hmm.
that really changed my perception of I can actually do this. I can actually write, books. And I'm like a lazy writer, so I can't do all that historical crap. I can't remember, who had shoelaces when they were invented.
Oh no, no research for you.
No research for me. So,
Okay.
they always say stick to what you know. So, but I like taking like historical premises and moving them into contemporary settings. One of my third books was Stealing Innocence, and I kind of took that the woman beholden to her family in order to make her do things she didn't want to do. So it was kind of like that was kind of so cool twisting that into a contemporary setting because we have so many freedoms. And when you're putting your characters in a suspense situation, you have to take away those freedoms, but it's hard now because we have a lot of freedoms that
Yeah,
people
we
don't
do.
appreciate.
Yeah, all taken for granted.
Right, all taken. The cell phone can't be down all the time.
We
You
gotta
have to
lose a battery or something sometimes. Something
buy it,
has to
right.
happen.
You have to put in earlier in the book. It's really cheap cell phone. They're on Metro PCS,
Oh
so people
no.
know in advance.
No
The
offense,
cell phone,
Metro PCS users. No offense.
right? The cell phone's gonna go down at any
Yeah.
moment, just when she needs it. So
Yeah.
you got to start building those in. But those concepts that they built, the suspense, the fear, the dreading, just the love, the intimacy, and the intensity of how their writing was. I combine that because I want to read contemporary novels, romance novels, just like they do.
hmm hmm
So
So
those are my.
are some of those also your favorites as well, or do you have different favorites, like for
Oh
your
my
own
God. I
personal
mean,
enjoyment?
any romance author who says they don't like Mr. Darcy should just stop writing romance. Oh,
Mr. Darcy is the business. I don't know if I mean, has anyone not read that book? I mean, we all went to
I've met
school, right?
people. I was actually on a panel about 5, 6 years ago, and the A-list author was, she was A-lister, and I was kind of like a B-lister. So, when they asked me, what was the best romance, alpha male out there, and everybody's, it was kind of like an African American panel, so everybody's naming books from, all these other romance authors, and then I said Mr. Darcy because that's to me that's the pinnacle. Like, who doesn't love Mr. Darcy?
hmm
And then the A-lister turned to me and she's like, "Who is that?"
You
She
had
had
to tell her it was. Oh no,
She was like, "That's from Jane
Jane
Austen.
Austen. Yeah,
Is that?" I was like, "Oh wow, oh wow, you should shoot yourself." So I didn't say that out loud, but
yeah.
I actually had to turn my face away so she didn't see the. I can't believe this. I can't believe she's the A-lister.
Well, I feel like everyone had to read at least that, from Jane Austen. I mean, in high school, I mean,
Yeah,
everyone knows who Mr. Darcy is.
right. And Stephen King does say, if you want to become a better writer, write what you want to read,
Mhm.
write what's good and popular out there. And I think, a lot of people, especially now, and I think we were talking about cliches and everything, to get away from those cliches, you need to see what's out there. You need to see, if you want to do something different, you need to read what's out there to see what's the same.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, those books like, The Pride and Prejudice, any Beverly Jenkins novel, I'm just in love with it. She just pulls you right in and just, you're like a fly on the wall in her book. And
Mhm.
yes, Johanna Lindsay, oh my gosh, she had me at Secret Fire. Oh my goodness. That was like, I still want to just take that concept and change it to a contemporary concept, but it's just so difficult.
Yeah.
And Stephen King is the Desperation series. I love that it was no monster, it was nothing, it was no terror or anything, but just the premise of something there. There's no description to what was scary, but just he had created something so beautifully monstrous out of nothing. I
Mhm.
thought that was just amazing. And all his work is Richard Bachman is so awesome. Anybody who does Stephen King, you have to read Richard Bachman to really understand what not scary but scary is. So that's what.
That's a real talent to make someone
Yeah,
scared without using all the usual.
right.
Well,
Yes. And I love studying his style because you're like, I want to be able to do that, but I want it romantic kind of sort of.
So
And I
let's
know that's
scare you, but make it romantic at the same time and make you think about it,
right.
right?
Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah, that's exactly what romantic suspense is. It's like,
Yeah,
it's that melding of the two. And it's like you have the scary part and then the romance. And that's hard to
right.
sell sometimes.
It's hard to, yeah, it is hard to balance. So yes, but I do love doing it. So it's always been a favorite of mine ever since I think, and once I met Beverly, I kind of sat down and said, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to write. I know
Mhm.
I can't do historical, and then growing up in Detroit, you have to throw suspense and drama in there automatically. There's no other way to do it. So
Mhm.
just being in the elements, just having that, oh, I want it to have a happily ever after, no matter what we're working towards, that it's just always been my main point in my writing. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So tell us what inspired you to start writing, period. Like what made you pick up the pen?
Actually, it was my mother. Uh, when I was 6 or 7, I used to lie tremendously to her. So she would give me a whooping within an inch of my life. And then I would have to go and write my lie down on paper, come back to her and repeat the lie back to her. And I started seeing that it looked better on paper than out of my mouth. So
Mhm.
like my pain became my passion and I started lying more on paper
Oh,
than I
well, I
did.
think lying on paper is better than lying to your mother.
Well, it's less painful actually.
I believe that. I really do. Yes.
So after that, I just saw that I love doing it. I love seeing how I could stretch it and make it into my own and explore that what if concept more and more. So I do have to thank my mother, painfully but wonderfully.
Hmm.
They say beautiful torture. And she would always have pen and paper around for me all the time in the trunk of her car and her purse. She could always hand me something and I could start writing. So I definitely do have to thank her for guiding me in that direction and showing me I have this beautiful godly talent that, it I realize as I've grown up, people the art of storytelling, like Albert Einstein says, having imagination is better than having intelligence. Um, you can really see how you can blend this. It goes into every part of aspect of your life, and it's a wonderful talent where you can just beautifully make things better, no matter what. So yeah, I have to
Oh,
thank my mother. So
oh,
thank you,
that's
Mom,
so
for the butt
sweet.
whooping.
Oh,
When I won that Academy Award, they're like, "Thank you for every beating."
no. Oh, no. Well, look, it got you there. So, how many books have you published to date?
To date, I've published 37 novels. Then this
Wow.
year alone, I haven't counted 2016 run. So this year alone, I'll be publishing 4 to 5 more novels. So yay. Okay.
Wow, you are like writing like no one's business. I mean, you're churning these books out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because I know when people say, "Oh, it took me a whole year to write," I'd be like, "A whole year? Good Lord!"
Hmm. You're like,
What
wow,
were
I
you?
do four a year. What are you talking about?
I was like, my goodness. And they just say, oh, they did blood, sweat, and tears. And I'm like, oh, I just, whenever I have a free chance. Oh, you don't have a schedule. You don't sit down. You don't, put the wine out, the music on. I was like, I got 3 kids that I know of. I don't have time for that.
Hmm. That's funny. Get to business, right?
Right. You
That's
do it.
awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself too. I really didn't realize it was so many until like everybody else started spouting out like how many books they had. And then I was like, well, I got 37. They're like, wow. I was like, yeah, that is pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That is. Congratulations. That is awesome. Not many people can say they've written that many books.
Yeah, I've seen, yeah, that's what I've noticed. So yeah, I was like patting myself on the back, like, oh yeah, you're pretty awesome.
Yes. Well, let's talk a little bit about Tanner's Devil.
Mhm.
This is a romantic suspense title, like I mentioned earlier. So, as I always like to find out when I'm dealing with romance, give me a little bit of info about the heat level, like on a scale of 1 to 10. One being, Christian fiction, peck on the cheek, and 10 being near erotica, one step away
Near.
from erotica. Where does Tanner's Devil fall?
I would say because of the sexual situations that they find themselves in, I would give it about a 9 and a
Ooh.
half. Yeah, because it's one scene that just I like to read. So it's yeah, and a lot of people come back to me like, "Oh, my husband loved when I read that one," and I was like,
Oh
"Okay."
no! Wait, so people are taking your scenes and trying to apply them to their
I
relationships?
hope they don't try. I need to put like a medical a paragraph in there. I'm not responsible for
Oh my
injury.
god! So, like, if you do this and you have some kind of sexual injury, it's not my fault, type of thing.
Right, it's not my fault at all. And it like even it's one scene like they join the Mile High Club, so they get pretty intense. So yeah,
Wow. I mean, well, I can just think already because I'm like, there's no way they're in the bathroom. Have you been on a plane in the bathroom? There's no way.
right. And actually, I did the dimensions, and I did the dimensions, and I did like how big he is, how small she is, and I made it work. I was like,
Wow.
we can do this. We can. Okay, how long is her legs?
Oh my god. Oh, that is comical. Now, the only thing that could have been funnier is if they fall out of the bathroom as they're trying to get out.
Well, I'll try to put that in a scene in another book. So yeah.
Awesome. So let's get into a little bit about the technical stuff about the book. So tell us, how is the story told? First person, third person, alternating? I always like to know that.
I'm a third person kind of person. I've always been the only book I have that I actually pushed into first person. I had to lie to myself and tell myself it was a diary. So that
Oh,
was the only way I could write first person. But all my other books, I'm a third person all the way kind of person because I I don't get into too many people's. I usually just get into the two protagonist heads. And that's it. That's pretty much all is what going on. And I rarely either get into the secondary protagonist, all because I kind of want to keep a secret from the reader. I'm usually pushing a red herring somewhere. I'm pushing, since it is suspense, I gotta hide so much from the reader. So then they're not figuring it out, by chapter 2. Like, oh yeah, the sister did it.
well, see, I like that because you know what? I'm telling you, it's hard for authors to trick me because I am always like, it is funny. My book club can attest to this. I'm always figuring it out. I'm like, oh, I saw that coming a million miles away. So when you're able to trick me, I'm like, yes, I give you extra points just for that. Because
I think there are a couple of books that probably will like because I think a lot of people are shocked because I do go into deeper research. So I use my research to hide the plot. So people don't expect that. They think that it's going to come from a dramatic, the big thing is going to come from, oh, it's something obvious. I'm not looking for the obvious. I'm looking for that one little thing that's been there all the time, right in your face, but you would have never known. So yeah, I
very
like to
cool.
do that. Yeah. I love to do that. Actually, it's really fun. Especially when it's huge, like a huge murder mystery of mine. I'm just like, I'm hiding everything. I'm just like
Well,
I
speaking
knew
of
it.
plots, let's talk a little bit about the plot of Tanner's Devil. Can you give us a little quick, rundown of what's going on in this title?
So on the short side, Tanner's Devil is about an ex-prostitute who is currently a street doctor. She needs that one more big gig to finish paying off school to pursue her dream to become a nurse practitioner. It's been in her family for years to be street doctors, but now she just wants to be legitimate. She wants to feel real, have a normal life now, and not be in the the black market or on the streets anymore. She wants to make something of herself and the legacy of just the women that have been in her life. So she just needs that one more payment, and she decides to, behind her ex-pimp's back, is to take a job by one of his sick girls. And when he finds out she's back in the game, he thinks he can, sneak back into her world. Now that want to take a job, maybe you want to get back with me. That's his whole thing. That last job turns out to be Devlin, and Devlin has his own story where he's actually a virgin at the beginning.
Oh,
So he's a
wow.
30-year-old virgin, and he swore on his legacy. He actually has a royal. He has royalty. He's a duke. He's been handed a duke title, and in their line of dukedom, they remain a virgin until they get married. So he comes to Michigan to get married and finds out his fiance has been sleeping with his brother. So
Oh,
he decides to, yeah, we're gonna get rid of this. I've been waiting 30 years.
oh, wow.
He's gonna
Wow.
sneak
So he
me.
comes to Michigan. Okay, wait. Tell us why you think, or what inspired you to bring a Duke to Michigan, to the Metro Detroit area.
I was going when I first wrote Tanners. I was going through like a low point in my life. It was a big move happening. Things were going kind of and then like I just asked the readers like what kind of female protagonist would you guys like? So they put out a female protagonist and they described Tanner, told me who she was, the ex-prostitute. She was trying to get an education, living in Detroit, just trying to make it in this world. And then when we did the male protagonist, I think they totally forgot it was going to be an urban contemporary. So they start describing this alpha male from like a historical era. I'm like, how am I supposed to get him to Detroit? How am I supposed to get a dukedom from Spain all the way to Detroit? That's
Wow.
impossible. And that's what happened. And he was a virgin. He had to be a virgin. I was like, okay, so
A
I,
Virgin Duke coming to Detroit. Yes.
right, nice. And it actually, because he studied how to be the perfect husband for a woman. That's all he's done all his life, is to study how to make his wife to be happy. So, and Tanner's not used to like a man actually wanting to make her happy. And that's where the conflict comes. Even though there is an interracial book, that, like I said, the conflict comes more from where they've come from than where they are right now.
Yeah, because it's clear both Tanner and Devlin have a very different background. They have
Right,
very different philosophies on things,
right,
probably.
right. Very different growing up experiences, where she's always on alert for it, crap's about to hit the fan. And he's always like, okay, things happen, but you roll with the punches. And hey, he's a duke. Things just work out.
Of course they do. They always work out when you're royalty.
Right. So when things are not working out, but since he's been trained to figure out problems, handle large country situations, these little things that she thinks are huge, like my life is falling apart. He's like, we can take care of this. There's other matters, it's us that's more important than these things. So, they both have different perspectives, but they're a yin and a yang to each other once they realize, how much they, of course, care about each other.
Mhm.
And of course,
Yeah.
that's always hard in romance.
So it's like Devlin, like that typical um, come in, sweep you off your feet. You know that character that a lot
Yeah,
of women just love to read about and they want,
right,
I think, in real life, but they can never
right.
find.
Yeah, and but not only like it's just the romance, but it's the intimacy that he builds within her. Something she's never ever had. Like the thoughtfulness, the I'm gonna take care of situation things where she's always done it herself. He knows how to really take care of her and meet her needs and know what she loves before she even asked for it. So it's kind of that deep relationship that he feels because he cares about her, not just on a sexual level, but on just a man to woman level, that I want you in my life and I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep you in my life. And that's very rare,
Yeah.
especially in alpha males. They usually show, immediately. And he is an alpha male, but he shows immediately, I care about you. I have no problem showing my emotions to you,
Hmm.
but I know how to take care of things.
Well, that's a different kind of alpha male. I mean, he sounds like the sensitive alpha male, I guess, because, the traditional alpha male, he's 2 seconds from trying to drive you
Boom.
everywhere and handle all your business and pay all your bills and don't let you do
Right.
nothing. It's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. He's like overly. But yeah, he's like that kind of alpha male that I can take care of you, but I'm gonna let you be your own person and then respond to those needs first, not just try to push my needs on you. So it was fun, just being with them. It was like I really actually got sad, as I'm going towards the end. It was like, oh, I want these people back. And I'm gonna bring them back in another book. I know that. I know, like, well, I definitely am gonna bring them back in a couple of books. So, but it's just so enjoyable. They were really enjoyable, and I hadn't had a lot of fun, and it really lifted my spirits, especially where I was at that point in my life. It
Mhm.
was a challenge that I needed to kind of get me to write more, and it actually worked. So I thank Tanner's Devil for being that, hey, you helped me get back on the, back in that writing spirit again, that I can write a pretty good book.
Oh, that's awesome. Because, like Tanner, I was telling you before, I really like strong leading ladies, and Tanner sounds like she's that type, personality wise. She's got a ex pep to deal with, she's
Right.
got this alpha male to deal with.
Right.
So,
And she still has to finish schooling.
yeah.
Ah,
And she's going to be a doctor. Yes.
right. So it was, yeah, it was, she could think fast on her feet, but her weakness was trust. And I find that in a lot of people, it's like people watch. You can be the smartest, you can think the fastest, but that humanity, to trust another human being, that is the hardest lesson for someone to learn. And you could either take you up or drive you down. And that's what I kind of focused on, is that trust issue, and that where she came from, and how you have to rise above your past and rise above, like, okay, yeah, this has happened before, but now I'm in a different situation.
Right.
Do I still bring those past, inhibitions to forefront, or do I try to put those away, forgive them, and just keep going?
Right.
And that's where Tanner was, and it was like great to explore that part of humanity, especially in women. It's so hard for us to see that we have a good thing in front of us,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, it's too good to be true. It's too good. Some other shoe is about to drop at any time, and it's gonna be over. And we actually can untrust us out of a relationship, which is a really weird thing to say, but it's actually true. We can actually, those doubts and fears can actually push us out of what a good relationship could have been. And of course, it was their fault, not ours.
Right. Of course. Of course. And that's true. That is a true statement. Like it's like that. I've heard people say, like, if you're constantly looking for something to be wrong, you're going to find it. And it's
Right.
because you're looking for it. You're trying to make something be there that wasn't there. So,
Right.
you
So
know,
yeah, and I think that happens in a lot of women. And I think that I wanted to explore that issue, and Tanner was the perfect person, where she is, from the streets. She is, not like everybody else, everybody can't say, they're a prostitute. Not everybody, I hope. But
mhm,
she's still a woman that a lot of women can relate to, because of her past, because of, how she was raised, because her situation with men have never been favorable. But that's a lot of women that are out there, and sometimes we need to put down that fear and doubt in order to find happiness, or go through it and and get our happiness. You got to go through the rain. You got to go through the storm to get through the rainbow.
Right.
And that was the whole thing about it. So
Right. Well, tell
I
me
love.
what's your favorite thing that you well, what's the thing that you enjoy most about these characters that you have created for this book?
I love how they handle situations from their past. You know, each one had a perspective, but how as Tanner grew in her emotional state and changed in all my books, all the characters, you in order for a really good book to happen, the character must change. They somehow their outlook must change. And in this one, she had to actually trust him with decisions, but how he took her opinion of the situation and molded it with, okay, this is what we're going to do
Mm-hmm.
to get her to trust him more and more until like he was making the decisions. She was trusting him. She was knowing that he's going to take care of me. And for a woman to be able to step out on faith, I always think of that Indiana Jones movie where, you know, he had to step out on that abyss, you know, and not know if something was there or not. And that was kind of like the whole thing. I love that part about the book, how it just, the whole book, they just progressed together. And
Mm-hmm.
it was things, you know, all, in all my characters, everyone has this huge fault. It's either a handicap, mental illness, or just emotional uh, F up or something. So I kind of really work on that. It's not what you see that's different on the top levels. It's all those deeper levels,
Mm-hmm.
and just going through the story and seeing how they progressed and how they changed. It was really wonderful. I really love that. Like you, every chapter it was something new, and you had to go to the next chapter all the time. I even like I would go back and reread it because it was like, oh my God, this is like really good.
Yeah. Well, you know, with all that emotional turmoil going on, that it's just not possible they could have insta love. So I'm assuming they might have had a little bit of insta lust going on that kicked
Yeah,
this whole thing off.
it was definitely in the beginning
Yeah.
instant lust. Yeah, definitely. It was instant lust in the beginning. But when she made the decision, she had to get out of Detroit, if, you know, or her ex pimp was gonna, you know, get her. Um, Turning that around and saying, okay, I'll go with Devlin, you know, because he offered her a deal. Come with me, I'll protect you, you know. And she's like, okay, you know, this is just temporary. And that's all she kept saying, you know, this is temporary, until she stopped saying it anymore. You know, she would forget to remind even herself that, you know, she started making future plans and, you know, things like that. So,
Oh, she
and
fell into it. She fell into it.
trap, it was a trap. But it
Awesome.
was a beautiful trap. So I that's what I loved about it. It's like he, you know, he grew on her. Just
Hmm.
hey, like a good infection. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can say that.
Well, a
Like an
good infection,
oxymoron,
I don't know.
oxymoron or something.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, did you have any difficulties or challenges like regarding writing the book? I know this was something that kind of flowed well for you, but you know, did you have any research to do? I mean, he is a duke and all and other
Yeah.
things.
The line of dukedom, you know, I had to go through actually how people became dukes. Because from coming from Detroit, it's not something you bump into, you know, on a regular basis.
Hmm.
And I wanted to make it legitimate. I didn't just want to just automatically say, oh, he's a Duke. You know, it had to be something about it and something that would give the reader why this is why he was proud of his heritage. This is why he had stayed a virgin for so long. You know, this heritage meant a lot to him. Sticking to customs, standards, culture, traditions, and stuff was very important to Devlin, but trying to entwine Tanner into this, a urban woman, to
Hmm.
entwine into his world, you know, that was where, you know, he was like, okay, I know she shouldn't be here, but I want her here.
Hmm.
So, but to stick with his own growing up traditions and morals and values, but also get what he loved, he was becoming to love. That's where he had the hardship of. I had to do research on that. So I had to do research on how families handle, scandal, um, media, how the media actually handles, because someone on his level, of course, he's looked at in the media, he's a TMZ favorite or
Right.
something like that. So,
Hmm.
trying to, you know, get him into the city without being recognized, things like that and stuff. I also had to research Tanner being a doctor. And of
Hmm.
course, being a prostitute. That's you really do have to research that. You can't just say, oh, she's a prostitute, because there's different levels.
How do you research about
It's
prostitutes?
actually different levels of prostitution.
Okay.
So they do
Educate me.
actually,
Educate me. 'Cause I don't know.
have actually wrote books about it. I can't remember. He's the most famous pimp of all. You used to see him in a lot of 90s rap videos, but he actually wrote like a small book about the pimp game and how, he had, his higher class women, lower class, the medium where he could send the high and low. So like and then you had the girlfriends. It was a lot of course, women were in caste systems. And
Mhm.
you have to, if you really want to, you really want to study it, it's really quite interesting
Wow.
how they build this caste system around, some women control other women, you can talk to some, you can't talk to some, sometimes they're the higher women one month, they're the lower women another month. There's training, there's beatings, there's
Wow. Okay. I stand corrected.
yeah, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
But then also she wanted to be a nurse practitioner, which is almost like being a doctor. So I had to, and then she was doing procedures on the street in the book. Like in one of the book, the guy got shot. So I had to write a procedure where she had to actually take a bullet out of a guy. John Hopkins is the best thing on YouTube. They actually film their surgeries, and there's a lot of hospitals that do. And I actually had to study a lot of medical procedures on how to do simple things, because when she talked, she had to have that I know what I'm talking about. I know what to do. You have nothing to worry about. We're gonna go through that. And like I was saying yesterday, street doctoring is more like the war doctoring. You get it to where the patient is breathing. As long
Hmm.
as they're breathing, we're good.
Hmm.
we
Okay.
can't we can't get eight breaths a second. We're not good. Eight breaths a minute. That means they're dead. I know
Oh,
that.
wow.
So it's like, okay, I can do this. I can make a character that actually has this kind of knowledge and do stuff and talk about it as if I could do it. So I hope I'm never in that situation where I have to use those skills.
Oh no, no, please call 911, please.
I can write about it like I know about it, but oh my God, please don't make me use that.
Oh my God. All I can imagine is like someone trying to trick somebody with a knife in a restaurant because they read how to do it. I'm like, oh God.
Oh my God, don't do it on me, please.
No, get someone else. Get someone else.
Right.
Okay, Sylvia, we got this.
Right. So yeah, so I had to learn all that. But it was like kind of a what I do is when I don't believe in writer's block. So when I get to a scene and I really don't know anything about it, I'll actually put in stupid words and bold it, or I'll bold like the whole part. And then when I'm doing my second reading, after I've done the research, I can go in and just like, oh, okay, this works. So
Awesome.
it was a awesome learning experience, and the more I learn, the more excited I get about a book. So it's like I really go into what they do, how they do it, because even on a dukedom, they do have a job. It's not like they just sit around and enjoy their wealth. They do have responsibilities to their country, to people, to other countries and stuff like that. So it was awesome bringing Tanner into this world of Devlin's responsibilities,
Hmm.
but also knowing in the back of everything that there's a pimp chasing them
Oh
to kill
gosh, right. That
kill
sounds so interesting to me, like to have those like totally polar opposite type of stories
Right,
going on at the
right.
same time.
And to make this work, and that's what I was so proud about, is that once I was done, I was like, wow, I made that work. Like, dang, that was kind of awesome.
You've got skills, girl. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's see. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience about this title before we move on to the next topic?
Well, like I said, I do hope to bring Tanner and Devlin back. They do have another story. They're actually, and her best friend is called Paradise. And she actually is coming out with a book called King's Paradise, which everyone is really waiting for. I have this huge Hart family saga that goes on, and actually King is one of the secondary members that everybody hates. So bringing his story to life and making people like him
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
is
So
gonna
that's what
be
you're working on right now, is that book?
on that. And hopefully by the end of 2017, King's Paradise, and I can bring Tanner and Devlin back into the fold. They can come back to Detroit to help Paradise out because she's gonna need a lot of help, especially
Awesome.
after King kidnapped her. But
Oh
they
goodness. So
very
did you
far.
so do you have an idea, like are you turning this into a series, and if so, do you know about how many books you have planned for it?
Well, usually for the Hart's family, they're usually a standalone, long story. Usually my stories are about a good 40 chapters. I would say about 100,000 words. I'm a 100,000 word baby. I gotta hit that point, and I just get to the story. So I know this is gonna be a standalone, and
Mhm.
people have been waiting for it so long. I'm like, I'm just gonna give them the whole story. I'm gonna just they're gonna so enjoy it. They love those. They love the Hearts, but and they've been waiting for this almost. This is going on like almost about 6 years. So bringing it
Oh,
to light, it's so much to bring it to light because so
yeah.
many parts that are involved in what King does. I had to like get all of their stories out the way before you can really understand why everybody hate him.
Oh, okay. Well, that
Because he
sounds
does so
very intense. So,
right. So it's gonna be fun. And then I know they're gonna appear in maybe about two more stories, just like, as couples and things like that. So it's gonna be really cool. So yeah, always, go to my website and check on my updates because it's coming and I'm loving it. It's so much fun. It's like, oh my God, I got this story. It's gonna come. It's so beautiful. So
awesome. Well, we always have writers in the audience, always looking for advice from published authors. So, do you have any bits of advice for any author, soon to be, hopefully, authors that are watching?
uh finish it. That was the first piece of advice I got from Judith McNutt, and I waited 5 hours in line to listen to her give me the advice that's gonna help me on my journey. And I was like, I'm always starting stories and I never finish them, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Is it a secret or a formula or a little, is it a pill I can take?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And she just looked up at me and she was like, just finish it. And I'm like waiting for the punchline or like something else, like an algorithm or, some kind of large math equation to come after that. And that was pretty much her advice from those words, those 3 words. Um, that's what I just started doing. I just started taking a novel, taking a story idea and getting it to the end. So no matter what, no matter how it goes, no matter if it's a bad ending, good ending, just finish the book, and then you can always go back and fix all the ugly parts and then give it to an editor to make it look really pretty.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm pro editor. I gotta say, you gotta use editor.
Oh my God, yes, and a lot of I and no, advice number 2 is your editor is your translation to your readers. So let them do their translation because what you see, what your child looks like is not what the world sees. So
Yeah.
let your editor please do it. So it's a tough lesson. And I'm glad my mom was like my first editor, because then it was easy taking advice from her. Whereas when I got with other editors, it was like, okay, I know you're not being mean.
Mm-hmm.
You're just helping me translate to the reader better. So that's my secondary advice too. Trust your editor. Just do it and trust your editor.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. They have a purpose. Trust them.
Right.
Because,
They make you
you
look better.
succeed, they succeed, right?
Yeah, they do. They make you look, and they make you look better. They make
Yeah.
you look a lot better, because what you thought you said is not what you thought your what your mind thought you said. It's, and you read what your mind is saying, not what the reader is reading. So everybody is not in your head. So
Yep.
that's always like, trust them and finish it and just do it. So
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about Rust City since it is only 2 weeks away.
Yay.
Well, less than 2 weeks because this is Sunday. So,
I know, I'm getting scared.
oh no, it's going to be fun. So, show us what books, or tell us what books you're going to have at the charity signing there.
Well, of course, I'll have first Tanner's Devil. And then I'll be giving, actually, when you buy Tanner's Devil, you'll get a card for ebook. So you actually can scan a card and get an ebook with that. And I'll also be selling Dreams of Reality, which is actually my first book I came out with ever in 2000. So you're gonna get the first and the last of me to see
Oh,
the progress and just get involved in so many characters that I come up with, because I'm a lazy writer. So one character you see in one book, you're gonna see him in another book eventually somehow. I always need a cop. I always need a detective. I always need someone who's good with research. So yeah, I usually reuse
so your characters do guest appearances in other books.
right. They're like guest
Awesome.
right. I have like, yeah, they do guest appearances. So it's kind of like an ongoing. People say, how do you keep up with all those characters? But it's kind of nice because you're like, oh, yeah, I can just bring this guy in. And I have like someone who's a devil's advocate. So as soon as the characters start getting together and loving each other, she just jumps in and just messes everything up, just creates pandemonium. Like, okay, yeah, it's just too lovey dovey right now.
We got to mess this up a little bit. All right. So tell me, what are you most looking forward to during Rust City?
I think it's the meeting, of course, always the new readers. I love meeting uh new readers and old readers. I like people who didn't know I was gonna be there, or they knew I was gonna be there, but they didn't knew they was gonna have an opportunity to meet me. So they're like, "Oh my God, you're Sylvia."
Mm-hmm.
I love when they say that. They all say it the same way. So I love
that's
anybody
that's
who say my
flattering.
name.
That's cool.
So, and it's just fun because they'll bring out their Kindle and they'll show like all the books they have of mine, and they're like proud to scroll up. So that's kind of cool. Like when they're doing all that scrolling, I'm like, oh, that's so fun. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like really cool to be able to talk to them, and like they see my characters as somebody they want to have dinner with. You know, you're like, oh, I was sad when that one ended. I was like, I was too.
That's awesome.
They,
So,
they
okay.
make me feel sane.
Okay, well, I'm sure you'll have plenty of readers to meet there. I mean, come on, guys, get those tickets if you haven't already. You want to meet Sylvia.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So, okay, I don't want to ask you about panels because I know we just said you don't really know the panels. Did you write down the two I mentioned? Because I don't
Well,
remember
I
them.
know the two. Okay, so the one I'm going to be on, I remember what you said. So the one is Forget Me Not. And that is about writing, of course, memorable characters, writing those characters. And we were just talking about that, how I just have characters people just at the end of the book would love to invite for dinner or, hang out with, and I kind of write. And I think a little bit because a lot of people always, they always give me that question, which character are you more like? And actually, I always say the guy, which is really crazy because I was raised by my dad. So I can get into a guy's psyche so well. It's just like, yeah, a little bit of that is me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
A little cold like that. I'm a little heartless. I'm a little.
That's funny. I've been told that before too, but I don't know. I guess I'm just not all emotional. That's what it is. That's really, it's not
Right.
heartless. It's just that I'm not extra emotional.
Right. It's just like I don't get over on the shoe bit. I'm still trying to catch on to why I need 80 pairs of shoes. I can do 80 pairs. I can do a pin. I can do about 100 pins a day if you give it to me. But I'm not the pin. I'm like this. I'm not the shoe thing. Another one is recycled settings, and it's basically about how you take urban settings and make them into your own or change them around. How do you dig deeper and bring the setting into the book or make the setting part of a character?
Mhm.
That's always wonderful. I love Detroit, so just being able to bring a urban setting, Detroit alone is its own character.
Awesome.
Especially in this book, I really focused on Tanner's world, and because Devlin had to see something he had never seen before,
Mhm.
and he had to see like the high piles of garbage or the abandoned homes that people just live right next to, or you see a $500,000 home sitting next to a $2,500 home. That's kind of a weird thing, to see coming from where he's come from, or
Right.
anyone who comes in Detroit and sees. But then Detroit has its own character because lots of architects back in the day all came here and designed different parts of Detroit. So you see different personalities in different houses all over the city.
Mhm.
So it's wonderful to see like Albert Kahn buildings, to see lighting that Edison created inside of buildings. I mean, it was a design to lighting a building, and to
Mhm.
know you had that all in one city. Detroit has a setting of its own, so that's
It
going to be fun.
definitely does. I can attest to that. I've been downtown in the different parts of the city, and it is
I
kind of
know.
interesting. Like sometimes when you see some really old buildings, it's just astonishing, especially if they ever get a refresh and they keep the original historical.
Yes,
Yeah.
they got it. Yeah, they got it, but they keep the original stonework. The
Hmm.
stonework here in Detroit is just beautiful. If you ever see online a Boston Edison tour or Indian Village tour, just to go into these houses and to know, just like a couple of years ago, you could buy like a 8-bedroom home for less than $5,000.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, you should move to Detroit for
Yeah. For real.
Right. Yeah,
So,
because even in my home, it was 168, but I was only able to buy it for 55,000. So
wow,
yeah, that was
impressive.
awesome. Hey,
Yeah.
I love Detroit.
Yeah. No, you do, girl. Yes. Okay. So, outside of Rust City, is there any other events that your readers and fans can find you at, afterwards?
Afterwards, they
Mhm.
can always do, well, of course, I do my Motown Writers Network, and we meet every second Saturday at the main library. So I'll be doing that in September. But beforehand, in 2 weeks after Rust City, I'll be doing the Motor City Book Experience in downtown Detroit at Cobo Hall on I want to say the 25th of August. It's a Sunday, so I'll be doing that. You can always go to my website, or even at sylviahubbard.com, or you can go to my Amazon site that has all my book listings plus all my events, and that's amazon.com/author/Sylvia Hubbard. So you can go there and see all my upcoming events for all the way till like 2017. So
Wow.
definitely check me out. And
Yes, you are keeping busy writing and doing a million events.
And I actually have an ongoing story on my website. I do it for my readers. They have the premium readers get subscriptions to an ongoing story. I have 4 stories a year, and right now we're in our second story called Beautiful. You can actually come in and read 3 chapters a week to the story as it builds tension. So it's kind of fun.
Awesome. Okay.
Keep it busy.
Well, thanks for sharing. You guys get on Sylvia's website and get signed up for that. I know you want to read her ongoing stories. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, up next, the lightning round. The lightning
Uh,
round, my favorite part. I don't know why I love asking people random questions. I don't know. But let me just tell you what it is right quick. 60 seconds, 60 questions. No one ever gets past like 21, maybe. They're all, some are book related, some are not, but they are yes and no questions, like A or B. You have to choose one or the other. You can't say neither. You can't say both.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
there's some open-ended questions, and it's just good fun. So just answer as many as you can. And I will set the timer here, because if I don't, I might end up asking questions for a lot longer.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
All right, let's go. Physical books or ebooks?
Physical books. Love
Hero
the
or villain?
villain.
Me too. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Name a book that you've read in one sitting.
Secret Fire by Johanna Lindsay.
Where's your favorite place to read?
In my bed.
Yeah, I fall asleep. Beer or wine?
I would say probably beer, but I'm non-alcoholic. So I would say, well, no, I would do wine, because I can do non-alcoholic and it's like fruitier.
Cool.
It tastes that.
Cake or pie?
Cake. I love chocolate cake. Oh my God.
Romance or erotica?
Oh, that's so hard. I would say erotica, because it's something I dabble in, but not all the way go into the deep, dark world.
All right, one more. Urban fantasy or paranormal romance?
Urban fantasy, because I just love city settings, and I love how writers bring that in and make it kind of true. Like, wow, there really could be vampires or wolves or things like that. So
I love urban fantasy. It's one of my faves. Love it. It's a problem, I tell you. It is, but I love it anyway. Well, thank you for doing that. That was really fun.
Thank you.
Yes.
Pass the test.
Thank you for being here. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the everyone before we sign off for the day?
Well, I'd love for, of course, people come to my website, and if you are a Michigan author or a reader, I encourage you to go to motownwriters.com and check out the literary world of Michigan, things that we do, authors submitting their new stuff and new things that are going on. And I also blog for writers at howtoebook.org and do videos on how to write, publish, and promote. So you can always check out my YouTube videos. Just go to my website and click on my YouTube link. So
awesome.
Yeah, I'm keeping busy all the time. And if you have any questions for me, readers or writers, just please email me, tweet me, social me, whatever. I'm everywhere. So
awesome. Well, you guys heard her. So follow up and hit her up on social media. All the links are below. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Be sure to check her out. Again, the links are below. Tanner's Devil. The link is below in the notes as well. So feel free to click that button and pick up your copy today. Thanks again for watching. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, guys.